Hello and welcome to the live stream. I'm Mike Brightman. My company's Brightman Designs, and I design homes in Denver, Colorado using SketchUp Pro and LayOut. Today, we are going to be digging into the world of the Medeek BIM suite. This is a super powerful suite of tools that allows you to build accurate, detailed construction models in SketchUp super quick. All right, and then we're going to use my ConDoc Tools extension to automate the permit set, the construction documents that you're going to need to get this project through the city. So we'll be working with a real garage project that I just got permitted here in Denver. Not the sexiest project, but a great teaching tool, kind of an easy structure to get our hands on, wrap our head around, and learn how this system works to move from SketchUp into LayOut with these super detailed models. So basically in ConDoc 5.1, we have a new drawing set that allows you to just load the Architect Medeek drawing set and reprogram our ConDoc tools to cooperate with the Medeek tags. All right, so I'm sure we're gonna hit some snags along the way. Hopefully there's no technical issues with the audio or any of that stuff. I think we got that sorted out. But we always hit some snags with SketchUp, LayOut, these different extensions. And that's what's cool about these live sessions is we're gonna work through it. We're just gonna push and we're gonna figure out every little snag we hit along the way. So I think you'll learn a lot from that. And there'll be plenty of time for chit chat as we go. So let's get started. All right, so first up inside of SketchUp, I'm gonna go to File and choose Geolocation and then Add Location. This is definitely the first step of any project is you wanna get it geolocated. I can tell you that you can always do this after the fact, but it's easier if you just get it done right up front. So I'm gonna select here's my house that we're gonna work on. I'm gonna make sure I get the alley and the cross streets and click Import. All right. So that pulls in our aerial imagery. All right, up next, I want to bring in my site survey, my improvement survey. So I'll go to the File dropdown and choose Import, and then I'll go over to my live stream folder, and here we have our improvement survey. Now, typically on a PC, you would not have the ability to import a PDF, but I've loaded up the John Brock's PDF importer, which is this awesome plugin that allows me to crop the PDF before I import. So I can kind of stretch these guys around like that. And then also a new feature is the ability to set the scale. So you can see here my scale is at 1 inch equals 10 feet. So I'm going to choose 1 inch equals 10 feet and import this site survey into SketchUp. Now, the advantage of PDF Importer is that it brings in that PDF as vector line work. Also check this out, under my tags, you can bring in our PDF text. It shows up as, it outlines the text and puts it on its own tag. All right, I can tell you I don't really need that right now, so I'm gonna just delete that tag, and so we'll say okay. And then as far as our location, terrain, and snapshot go, I gotta say, we'll get those cleaned up a little bit, but this aerial imagery is really rough. If I'm scooting this around and I want to arrange this on the site, it's so grainy. So what I do is I use Placemaker to dial that up. So I'll open up my Placemaker dialog, select my site import, and let's head over to our near map and choose Import Imagery. All right, so this is going to cost 28 credits, no big deal. I'll click Confirm Order. And so that shakes down to a couple bucks. No problem. Watch how much better this gets. Look at that. Unbelievable. All right. So now I can kind of scoot this around, and I was fairly close. So we'll do something like that and scoot that forward. And just kind of here's the patio, it's lining up. Really what I'm most concerned about is that the overall lot lines are kind of in order. So see how the sidewalk is just a notch off? Maybe I scoot it down a little bit, but at least this gives you the ability to tweak this thing around. So our lot lines is what I'm really concerned about. So maybe it is scooting it over to the left just a notch. But truth be told, it's really okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, but right now is the time to get it lined up. I mean, if you try to tweak all this stuff later, that can be problematic. It's possible, but it's so much easier if you just get these steps done right now, and then everything is going to flow real smooth. All right, so that looks pretty good right now. And so next up, I think what I'll do is I'm going to trace out, well, let's get rid of this, let's turn on all of our placemaker tags. And I just want to kind of get rid of some of this stuff. I don't need the overall site. I can tell you that I don't need the terrain, because if my site is pretty much flat, I'm just going to call it flat. I don't want to mess with like just a subtle terrain. It's just a little bit more difficult to work with. And especially with like a simple project like this, I'm going to have a very simple, straightforward bulk plane and what do they call it? Base plane, where we start in the elevation. So it's really not worth trying to model the site. If this project were on like a giant hillside, then totally I would use the terrain. All right, so let's see, what else can we clean up here? So we're going to use this, the import. Basically, Placemaker overwrote the aerial imagery import from SketchUp. So that looks good. And let's see, so that's cool. All right, so let's just trash. We'll just delete these tags. And we're going to delete these tags too. Okay, like that. Okay, so up next, I'm going to unlock my terrain and hide it for the time being. All right, so in just a heads up, you definitely don't want to move this thing around. All right, so it is good to keep it locked, but for now, I'm going to unlock it so I can hide it. And now I'm going to go into my rectangle tool, and we're going to draw this, kind of a nice clean rectangle of 124.9 by 37. All right, so we'll go like that and say 124.9 feet, 37 feet, enter. And then I can double click. Let's see, let's try that again. Oh, you know what? I've already invoked a new command. I typed them in backwards, so no problem. If I hadn't set up my select tool, I could have just typed the new dimensions. All right, and I mean, one thing you can't actually, let's look at this. So I'm going to unhide all. Sorry, I'm kind of zooming in and out a lot. I'm going to rotate this thing. So rotate it. I'm going to tap the up arrow key, and I'm going to like snap, on. Let's see. I want to be on this edge, and then I want to like get it onto the green, or yeah, I assume it's the green. Yeah, like that. Okay, so it's on green axis. It's a 0.1 degree, like that. All right, so I just kind of shored this thing up. And now I'm going to, just make sure that like everything looks pretty decent still. My lot lines are kind of where they should be. And then I'll use my rectangle tool. And all right, so as I go up here and kind of get close, you can see it's like long distance first, 37 second. Okay, so we're going to type in 124.9 feet, 37 feet, enter. All right, I feel like that's what I did the first time, but maybe I'm wrong. All right, so let's keep rocking here. So I can hide this. Now, let's go take a look at our zoning. Well, let's see. All right, let's keep working this out. All right, so I want to hide my survey. And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to group this, and then I'm going to, and I'll just scoot it up so we can really see what's happening here. Scooting it up, straight up on the blue. And I'm going to go to the Tools, Sandbox, Drape, and then drape this piece on here. All right, so now I'll get rid of this, double click in, and this guy, I'm going to group it, cut it, and then paste in place. Okay, so this is like my precise lot that is, really nice and lined up with my site survey. And then this is just kind of like the context, like that. All right, so that's a good way to get things set up. This is like the first step of any project. Okay, so up next, let's take a look at our zoning code. And really, we want to start baking in all the rules. We want to understand the rules of what we're allowed to build and get our setbacks and our bulk plane. It kicks in at 45. All these rules are described in the Denver zoning code. So I've got the PDF. We're going to open that up. I'll show you that. And then it's advantageous to model the rules so you don't have to keep referring back and like deciphering the text. Let's get to it. All right, so over here in my live stream folder, I've got my Denver zoning code. And we'll scoot down to our table of contents, and we've got like our detached accessory building form standards. All right, so then I'll scoot through these a bit. And here's like a accessory dwelling unit. And then we have our detached, and here's our detached garage. And here's the rules for a detached garage. I can tell you that we're in this UTUB zone district. So we can go up 1 story, max height of 17 feet. We're gonna go up 10 feet and then kick in at a 45-degree angle. Our side interior lot line for a structure entirely in the rear 35%. That's going to be a 0 setback, although I did learn after I submitted this that there's another, I forget, it was the, it was like the drainage, something for the drainage sewer department. They needed like 1 foot off, so it's not actually 0. So we'll respond to that, and then if it's rear alley where garage doors face the alley, we need 5 foot off the back. All right, and then the building footprint and the overall length, those are really not going to be issues for us. But we'll put in that 36-foot distance, and our lot is 37 feet. So I mean, essentially, it's just about the entire lot. All right, so first things first, we need to define, like this is the alley back here. And we're going to need to define our rear 35% of the lot. Now, I can double click to select the surface as well as all the bounding edges. I can hold Control and Shift to remove these other pieces from my selection, leaving only this back edge and front edge, or the back edge and the front edge. I'm going to group them because when I create a group from those edges, it actually like duplicates the edges. Tap S for the scale tool, and then I'm going to type 0.35, enter. And then I'm going to tap X to explode. And what we're left here is that this is the rear 35% of the lot. And if I were to take a measurement of that, that's like 43 feet 8 and 9/16. I mean, what a nightmare, right? How would you even do that math? Perhaps you could like, I used to like switch it to decimal, feet, decimal, so you could type in like that 124.9, times 0.35, and then, but this is just a much quicker, easier way to get there and not mess around with all those different units. So let's keep on rocking. We got that set up, and then I'm gonna hide this for now, and we'll set up a 5-foot setback off the rear, and then technically, we're going to leave it at 0, but we're going to position our, we'll model the actual rules. So it'll be, 0 there and then 36 feet here. So technically, I could, run the building 36 feet along the back, which just isn't going to happen. So anyways, let's draw a rectangle here, and we'll go over to there. So that's the footprint of like where we're allowed to build. And then I'm going to go up by 10 feet, tap Control, Option on the Mac, run up another 7 feet like that. And then I'm going to use my protractor tool and throw a 45-degree angle, use my line tool to split the surface, and then push-pull that back. And then we're going to clean up a bit like that. All right. So now we can just select all this, make it a group. My keyboard shortcut is G, but you can always right-click and choose Make Group. And then if I double-click in, and I'm going to delete that bottom surface, activate my materials, and I'm going to add a material, and this will be, we'll make this, I don't know, I just kind of like it to look like a, it's almost like a force field, right? So we'll kind of get it like 50% opacity and kind of like an orangish look. And then if I want to paint everything within this group, I can tap Shift and click. It's almost like a material replace that's baked into SketchUp. Also, my guides, I can go to Edit and choose Delete Guides. I do have a keyboard shortcut for that. I use Control-E. It's because I draw a lot of guides and get rid of a lot of guides. So it's kind of a common thing to be doing. Okay, so now we have like our rules baked in here. We know, like, you know, we have our site survey. We've got our like high-res site imported, and we've got our zoning code, you know, drawn in 3D, so we don't have to go back and reference it. And then we've got a bunch of high-res context as well. So, you know, we're in pretty good shape here. And so I guess what we'll do is take a look. We'll take a look at the, let's see, what are we doing now? We gotta, like, you know, we gotta do a couple things. We're not done yet. We want to perhaps start working with our ConDoc Tools extension to add in the tags that we're gonna be using. And that way we can like chip away at the visibility of some of this stuff, like put some things on the background layer and the context layer tag. And that way we can kind of get it out of our way and set ourselves up for working with our Medeek BIM suite tools. So what we're gonna do is load the Architect Medeek drawing set. And what that does is it like reprograms ConDoc to work with the Medeek standard tags, the default tags that ship with Medeek's tools. We respond to them. I've baked those into a .condoc file, a drawing set. And when you load that into our ConDoc tools, those tools now are programmed to work with Medeek's models. Super cool. Let me show you. Okay, so we're gonna go to Extensions and then ConDoc System, and open up our ConDoc System heads-up display. Now, by default, the Flex drawing set is loaded on a fresh install. I can tell you that the Flex drawing set, what this does is it responds to whatever tags are visible. It's a very flexible way to use the ConDoc tools. So if you haven't really thought things through, or you're using a bunch of wild tags or layers, well, you can just manually manage your tags and then snapshot your views. But what we're doing is we're working with our labs folder here in the Architect Medeek drawing set. This one has all of the tags baked into it and like truly programmed in, so that when you're using our tools, we're forcing his tags on and off. So that's really all you got to do, is just load that Architect Medeek drawing set, and then keep your eye on the tags dialog over here. When I hit reset, it adds in this ConDoc Tools tags folder. And if I look at what's in there, you can see our tags, which are like level, element, location, and condition, but you also see all of the Medeek tags as well. So essentially, you know, everything has been added in by our ConDoc Tools drawing set. So all those tags, and I can show you this just to give you a glimpse. This is what we call the configurator tool. This is how you can build your own drawing set. So like, you know, I give you these drawing sets, but you can completely customize them. And so like you can add all the layers in here. And so that's where all that stuff goes. And if you want to add a layer, you just hit add a layer, type it in, and away you go. All right, but I've already sorted that out for you. I've already programmed all the drawings, so you're getting like your plan details and elevation sections, you know, construction plans, foundation plan. It's all baked in there, all ready to rock. All right, so now to assign ConDoc tags, we open up our ConDoc tags dialog. And you can see that like there's corresponding ConDoc tags for all of our ConDoc Tools tags. So all of the ConDoc Tools SketchUp tags. All right, this gets a little bit tricky when describing, because you got your SketchUp tags and then you've got your corresponding ConDoc tags. All right, so if I want to select, like, you know, here's my, here's the context. All right, oh, and one other thing, just to make it real clear, we can run the project setup and just say, yeah, this is one level, no basement, we're good. All right, so now we have level, element, location, condition. If you were to run the plan generator, or I believe any one of our tools, it would have prompted for the project setup before it runs. But now we can just say like, okay, this is level one, and it is context, and it's site, and we'll just call it existing, I suppose. All right, so now keep in mind that our ConDoc tag visibility is controlled through this SketchUp tags dialog. So I can come over here and I can turn off the context. How cool is that? All right, let's keep rocking here. So then we would have like this piece, this is our lot. I'm just gonna call this level 1 earth site existing, like that. That'll work. All right, and then we can go over here and I'm gonna turn off all of my elements. So when I turn off all my elements, what that allows me to do is like kind of use my tagging as a checkbox. All right, that's a common strategy I use. All right, so this is going to be, let's see, I was kind of back and forth on this. This is basically a background, and I'll call it site, and we'll call it existing, I suppose. And then this is really, it's a diagram. I mean, you know, technically it's, we'll call it level 1. It could be a background. It definitely could be background. Backgrounds are always turned off in all of our drawings. It's like what you use to trace. It could also be, we'll call it site, and we'll call it new. And you could also call it like always off, like ConDoc always off. If you just don't want to see it, you can turn it off, but I can tell you the backgrounds are similar in that. So let's leave it as a background, and then we'll kind of adjust that as we go. All right, if I hit the reset button, that gets me back to, you know, turns my tags back on. And essentially what it does is when I hit that reset button, it pings my design scene tab. All right, so when I ping that design scene tab, it's any properties that are set up to save on that design scene tab are triggered. All right, so that makes this reset button really, you know, pretty slick to customize. So typically what I would do is I would go to my scene and I would turn on my visible tags, and then I would go to my tags and maybe I'd turn off context. You know, I really don't need to see all that as I'm working, right? And then as far as like this background goes, I really don't need to see that at all times either. All right, so this is kind of what I want my design scene to look like. All right, so then I would just come down here to my design scene. I've saved the visible tags. I can update it, and personally, I just like to keep it at the far left of my scene tabs. So now, when I go to like turn all my tags on, well, that's where I can like, you know, size up, am I working within the rules, and then I just hit reset, and I can get to this, you know, kind of nice, clean place to work. And this is like a constant work in progress where, you know, I might like change my mind, you know, as we get a little further in, where, you know, I really just want to see the garage, and I don't want to see the site because I've already sorted this stuff out, but for now, we'll keep working like this. Okay, so at this point, I'm just going to set up the footprint of my garage. So we would need to go, let me see, let me just look at this real quick. Yeah, so we're going to come off, you know, this is where we're going to sit right on the edge there, and then we're going to come off of here by like 12 inches, 1 foot. I'll hit reset. And then, you know, I want the garage. I received a sketch from the client, and he wanted it 25 feet across the back alley and to be 22 feet deep. And so, you know, for this project, I didn't have a whole lot of design that I had to do, which was kind of nice, you know, when it's just handed. It's a simple garage, very straightforward. So 25 feet across the alley, 22 feet deep, and that's the footprint that we're going to work with. All right, so now we're going to break into the Medeek BIM suite. The Medeek BIM suite, like I said, it allows you to craft these very precise and accurate, detailed, agonizing detailed models so quickly using like foundation tools, wall tools, truss tools. So we're gonna dig in, and we're just gonna start by making a, we'll start with like a stem wall foundation. And I'm just going to build a garage model super quick using the Medeek BIM suite. All the doors, windows, garage doors, everything you need is like baked into this one tool. So really, really powerful. Heads up, there's a link in the description for all the links that I'd be talking about today. PDF importer, placemaker, Medeek, ConDoc, everything. There's a link in the description. And Medeek offered up a 10% discount. So there's a coupon code ConDoc for 10% off, so make sure you check that out and do give his tools a try for sure. All right, let's hop in there and model some foundations. All right, so we're going to open up our Medeek foundation and Medeek slab on grade foundations, and then I believe Medeek stem wall foundations. All right, so I'll just show you like a quick example of how this would work. All right, so like a stem wall, like this polyline stem wall, I can activate that, and then you have all these presets. And I mean, honestly, I found that like the presets are really good. I mean, the default settings are pretty darn close. And I did have a project where I got the structural drawings and then went back and like properly modeled. And that was pretty cool, to kind of get, to be able to do that, to like look at, exactly what the structural engineer was calling for, and then, working it out very exact and precise. So anyways, these default settings are pretty much what I need. And so I'm just going to draw this rectangle here. And you can see that you get this little dialogue there. And then I'll hit enter. And look at that. I mean, I'll just turn off my, kind of hide that for now. And then I'll hit F7. That's my keyboard shortcut for view face style X-ray. So I use that, just to kind of peek inside. And look at all that rebar it adds. It adds our anchor bolts, spaces them out, sets this whole thing up. I mean, really impressive, what that's able to accomplish. And then next, I might throw like a slab on there. All right, so like on the Medeek Foundation plugin, I can draw a slab. We'll call it a rectangle. I'll go from here to here, and then to here. And then again, you can dig in on these settings. You can configure this all you want, but I'm just going to stick with the defaults and go like that. And look, it adds in all my rebar in there. And let me turn off my earth tag, so we get rid of that. And then I'm going to hide my axes and kill my guides. Actually, I'm going to undo that. We're going to use those guides in just a moment. One other comment that you should be aware of here is like, these are modeling tools. Some of these plugins, like if you start moving things around, it starts choking and like not liking what you're doing. But these Medeek tools, you can like scoot them up by 6 inches. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just a modeling tool, and you can then like go and work with it in a SketchUp way of doing things. Like, even after you've created this, if you really wanted to like just edit it manually, you can do that. Like some plugins, like, are constantly regenning. And if you don't use their tools to modify it, like it starts to choke. But I found that the Medeek BIM suite is very forgiving in that way. So, all right, so that's the idea there with like drawing out a foundation. But I can tell you that what happened on this one is I submitted with that type of foundation, and then I forget what it was. It's like they said, they would want it engineered if we did that with the stem wall. But if we did this slab on grade, that it didn't need engineering, I'm forgetting exactly what happened, but we're going to do a slab on grade. It's going to be a rectangle, and we'll go like this and like this. All right? I'm just going to stick with the defaults and say OK. And look at that. So now we can go back. I'll turn off my earth tag and turn on X-ray. Look at that. There's like a slab on grade. And with all of our rebar, everything in there. Looking good. And just, heads up, like if I throw like a section cut in here, like this, we can cut through it. And I mean, you're going to get like a really slick section cut. And I mean, even if, just to give you like a quick sneak peek, I'm going to edit my style, and we're going to do section fill. And the section fill is going to be white like that. That's kind of a cool way to, get a general understanding of how that's going to look. But anyways, for now, we're not there yet. We're going to use our ConDoc Tools to really automate those drawings. So we're good here. We can kill our guides, turn off our, axes. And, this is where, like every time I hit reset, we're getting back to this lot. So perhaps at this point, And you know, I'm gonna hit undo. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to hide this. I'm gonna draw this rectangle like this. And then I'm gonna make it a group and scoot it straight up on the blue, hit reset. Ooh, and you know I did, yeah, there we go. All right, so now I'm gonna drape this. So I'm gonna go to Tools, and we're going to go to Sandbox and choose Drape onto here. And then I'm just gonna like group and delete. Oops, we're not gonna group it. We're going to delete. So I can kind of carve that out, right? And I don't need that. So that way, you know, I'm not getting all that flickering happening. And it would be easy if I were to, you know, scoot this thing around. It's not that difficult to do that. I mean, if I wasn't sure where this thing was going to be sited, perhaps I wouldn't do this right up front. I'd wait till the location was locked in, but you know, it's no big deal to patch that if I ever needed to, you know, draw this back in and then, you know, sample this and sample that. So no big deal. We're gonna let it just kind of not flicker as we go. And we're in good shape. All right, so now let's take a look at our Medeek wall tools. All right, so I'll right click on a toolbar and I'll pull myself off the screen so perhaps you can see better. So we're gonna go with our Medeek wall tool. All right, and then the other toolbar we're gonna wanna use here is going to be our Medeek wall tools, like that. And you know, for now, let's open up also our Medeek truss. And I want to talk briefly about, I'm going to jump back on the screen there. I want to talk briefly about using or the settings that you need to look for. The main settings that you're going to want are in the Medeek wall global settings. You want to make sure that 2D geometry in 3D is checked on, right? The other thing you want to do is on layers. You want to have your wall layers on, but your advanced wall layers off. So, and I suppose whatever these are, you know, I don't think, no, these do come into play, but not to worry about them. Just don't mess with them. I baked in the default settings from Medeek's tools. So, you know, if you wanted to customize these, you could customize them, and then you would need to program them into or change the corresponding tag name within the ConDoc drawing set, the Medeek drawing set. But for now, you just want to make sure you've got your 2D geometry in 3D as yes, your layers are on, and then you need to save your settings. All right, then also in Medeek Foundation and Truss, on both of those under layers, you want to make sure that your custom layers are on and your custom layers are on. And then make sure you click save settings, close, close. All right, so that's what it takes. Like if those settings aren't checked on, the layers won't be applied to the Medeek objects. And it's kind of not a big deal because you can just go back, like say if I didn't have it on, if I right click and choose like edit and then update it, when I update that assembly, it'll apply those tags after the fact. So it's like, you know, no big deal to just turn it on later. That happened to me a few times when I was learning these tools. All right, and then that 2D geometry in 3D comes into play with our walls because we want a 2D representation of our walls to use for our plans. All right, so now we're gonna use our wall tool. Again, a ton of settings in here, but what I find is I'm just gonna go in and start building my wall. And you know, you could go through and you could like mess with all the settings, or you just build the wall and we'll edit the assembly. All right, so I just wanna kind of see the wall fall into place like this. And then, you know, kind of zooming in, being careful, I'm on axis and click. And then I'll just activate the select tool. All right, so now my wall comes, you know, we've got all these walls, they're framed, there's a single plate, you know, double top plate, our anchor bolts are lining up. I mean, this is nuts how detailed these models are and how quickly you can make them. So, but this is gonna be like kind of a party garage, right? There's gonna be some barbecues happening in the backyard. This is going to be kind of like a shelter, you know. I'm sure there'll be a ping pong table in here. I know the owner. I know how this is going to go. So let's take a look at, finishing out the inside. So venturing away from these default settings, I can right click and choose Edit Wall Assembly. When I edit the wall assembly, now I can go to, let's say like our advanced wall options are on, and I want some wall gyp. So wall gypsum, wall gypsum, yes. So we'll turn that on. Okay, so now this wall has gypboard on it. And then I can go into my tags and I can just search for gyp, and let's turn off the wall gypsum. The other thing I want is like cavity insulation like that. We'll update that. So now this wall is insulated. And certainly you could also choose like, maybe like foam. I don't know, let's do that, update. So like, oh, foam, yeah, I was thinking like a spray, maybe a cellulose, something, yeah, that, whatever. Whatever insulation you want, you can choose it. And now we've got our wall gypsum. And so that wall looks really good. Like that's the wall that I want to use for these other ones. So we do have this like wall tool where I can like copy a wall like this. And I want to copy the wall gyp and the wall cavity insulation settings. I'll click update, and now I can just click on these other walls. Bam, bam. And now they have the exact same properties. So I'll close this. And so, yeah, so far, so good. How about that? I mean, yeah, like really, to get that much detail that quickly, in my opinion, that's rather impressive. So we're going to keep on rocking here, and then we dig into like the next, kind of amazing benefit is that you get a full library of like doors and windows, garage doors. There's a ton of stuff that's baked in there into the Medeek BIM suite that like works seamlessly with his walls. So we can add all of our openings, completely configurable, after the fact. So when you're making changes, super easy. So let's dig in. Let's add a 16-foot garage door, a man door to the backyard, and then 3 windows on the side. All right, so over here, this is the alley, and so we're going to start here with adding a garage door. Our garage door is going to be 192 inches wide, and and this is like something I came across is like whether it's better to just add the door and then edit it, or if you want to like mess with all this up front. So you got to hit update, and then now my garage door is 16 feet. Okay, so now. What I found too is that oftentimes the default settings for the garage door was to have the advanced door options set to no. All right. So like when that's the case, when the advanced door options are set to no, it just like frames in the opening. So you don't actually get the garage door. And for whatever reason, that was like slightly confusing to me. So I bring it up, I just had to, once you figure it out, once you're told, yeah, it's easy. So that's what I'm telling you. So we'll say update, I want to see the garage door. And when we're facing the alley, I want this to be like a solid, no, I want it to be like a raised panel, something like that. Kind of just a standard issue garage door that faces the alley. All right. So there's one garage door, and then over here we'll close this and we'll add another garage door. And this one's going to be at 192, update, like that. And we're gonna snap, and it is a little difficult, like you can't see those dimensions showing up, but it's telling me like kind of the center point along that wall, which is pretty cool. All right, so yeah, I tend to just place my garage door, place my object for using the Medeek tools, and then go back and modify it. So this is going to be the glass panel like that, and we'll update. So like the backyard, if you're like on the house, I guess you could see it. And I mean, maybe this is a bit of a waste to do it like this, but if it was like a cold day, this would be a pretty cool place to have to still be kicking it outside And we're also going to need like a door here. So I guess, in Denver, you could either open that up and kind of have like a sheltered space in the backyard, which would be super cool. And on a cold day, you could always just, keep all the heathens out here making noise and having a good time. So, all right, we'll close this. That looks good. I'm going to add a door. So then, you just click this little button here. It's draw a door. And, for this one, you might want to, when it comes to like, I guess I would just say, I'm going to like scoot it as far, it's like blocking me from getting any closer to that end wall. And it's 22 foot 8.5. So I think that is a good place to put it. All right. And so I'm going to close this and then I'm going to edit this door. All right. So we'll edit this opening. All right. So like I want my, I want these to kind of line up. Like I guess if the garage door was a lot higher, it would be okay. But when they're so close, it feels like maybe they should just be aligned. So I'm going to update that to 82 inches. There we go. All right, so now those kind of line up. And then the last piece of this is going to be adding some windows along the wall here. So, this would be the area, if you're like, you'd want to be able to look out here, this is just going to be butted right up against the neighbor's garage. So we'll just go over here and click on add a window, draw a window. All right. And then I'm going to set this right in the middle. And when I snap there, it's kind of tough to see, but it's 11 feet. Click. All right. And then I'll activate the select tool. So that's kind of how I tend to work, is add the window and then edit the window rather than like trying to edit the settings before I place it. So now this window here, it's we need our advanced window options to be set to yes in order to see that window installed. There we go. Now, personally, I wouldn't go with the shutters, so I'm going to say no and update. And also, maybe this should be like a 3050. All right, so we're going to make this like 60 inches tall. Watch what happens to my symbol here. I hit update, 3050 picture window. And then we could say like, if I take my tape measure and go straight up on the blue, we're 3 3/4. So like my window header height, I guess I got to add 3.75 to it. All right, so I'm going to type in header height is going to be 3.75, 83.75, update. All right, and then I just want to check this. So now, yeah, those align. Perfect. Yeah, and whether it should be 50 or not, whatever, that's, I don't know, it'd be kind of a cool place to hang out if you're doing something different in there, other than just parking a car. Personally, I wouldn't mind having a garage like this where, you've got your like full-on workshop with all these windows. That would be super nice. And yeah, I mean, if you're building a garage like this, like, in the grand scheme of things, how much does it cost to add a few nice windows and really light the place up? So, okay, so check this out. So this window, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to call it BD underscore 30. Oh, you know what? Actually, cancel that. We're going to edit this window a little bit further. I don't want it to be a picture window. I want it to be a double hung. All right, so we're going to go with a double hung window, update, and then bam, 3050DH. That is cool. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. So now I'm going to save the preset, and I'm going to call that BD underscore 3050DH. And I'll save that window preset. So now when I close this and add another window, like I can just go and hit this drop down, and it was this last one, BD 3050DH, and I'll load it like that. And now let's say that this is going to be at like 6 feet. And actually I got to make SketchUp my active window like that. And then let's do another one at like 17 feet. Enter. Actually, and you know what? That last one shouldn't be 17 feet. It should be placed at 16. So see that window location? You don't have to like move it. You can just hit, you know, like update it here. And there is a tool for moving, you know, move and opening, but it's kind of easy just to type it in my opinion. All right, so we're in good shape there. We've got all of our doors and windows added in. I'm gonna save this before I get too far down the road, desktop temp. We're gonna call that Denver Garage, and so we're in good shape. Still jamming along here. So we've got, you know, the foundation and the walls, and the last piece of this is gonna be throwing on a roof using Medeek's truss tools. And I think this is, I don't know what made him more famous, the wall tool or the truss tool, but anyway, really cool to be able to just generate insanely detailed roof assemblies with all the sheathing, shingles, gutters, everything is parametric, and it's so easy just to modify, you know, just to choose the different options and get a very realistic representation that can then be, you know, tweaked and modeled as I need to. All right, so we'll hop in there. We're gonna use the Medeek truss tools to knock out a roof. Let's get to it. All right, so our last Medeek tool set here will be to add a common truss assembly. And then I'll zoom in and make sure I go from like the outer edge of my wall to this wall, and then we'll kind of scoot over here like that. All right. Again, I tend to just use the default settings. I'll say okay, okay, and let's submit all that. And now we've got a roof, okay? So, you know, the reason I'm kind of talking through this like that, basically, I like to add my roof and then edit the parameters after the fact. All right, so we'll do that. I'm gonna go right click on the roof and choose Edit Truss Assembly. Now, we do have our sheathing is turned on, so that's good. And you know, you wanna have your like advanced roof options. If I said no, you get something that looks more like that, all right? And so you wanna set those to yes, update. And then your roof sheathing, yes. And your roof, oh, let's see, gable wall sheathing needs to be turned on. So like, you know, if you don't have that gable wall sheathing on, your gable wall cladding doesn't quite work out. And so you want to make sure all that's good. And then some other settings that like roof cladding is what puts the shingles on. And gable wall cladding is what puts this on. So if that's not turned on, if I go no and update, you know, you just get gable wall sheathing. So you got to have your sheathing and your cladding turned on like that. All right, then when it comes to the soffits, check this out. We'll go, you know, soffit, fascia, yes, update like that. So now you got your fascia board. The soffit is going to be a yes. We'll update that. And so that kind of boxes it all in. But I don't know. I mean, whatever. You could go with this setup like that, or we could go with soffit type, angled, and we'll update that. There you go. So that's nice and clean. And then if I kind of like orbit on the inside, like I said, you know, we want this thing kind of finished out, you know, a little more like a party room in some ways. So like ceiling gypsum, we would say yes. And now you've got like your full ceiling on there. And then when I get up into the truss and the rafter system here, we can go with like ceiling insulation. All right, so let's update that. Now you got your insulation in there. So this is how you can very quickly configure this thing. I'll just hit reset. If you hit reset twice, it does a zoom extents, all right? And we've kind of positioned, our model where at the origin, 0, 0, 0, that's like our finished floor height. I would have, you know, when I was setting up this project, I might have spent a little bit more time, I would have spent a little more time calculating the rear base plane elevation, which is like the average between the back two corners of the site. On this project, it was going to be, I think it was like a couple inches. So it really wasn't like a critical thing, but you do need that calculated and represent on the drawings for Denver. But you know, for this demo, it's like easy enough to just call it flat. But so anyway, the point is that, you know, you want it to be accurate so that when you're like measuring, you know, in here, it's set up, but it's meaningful. But I guess I was just commenting that I like to keep it finished floor at the origin, because ConDoc, when it measures finished floor heights, it works off the origin. All right, so we're in good shape there. Let's see, we can close this. And, you know, at this point, I might even say, like, you know, this earth tag. Like, if I turn that off and then update design, you know, now every time I hit reset, I'm just, you know, working with this, like, you know, nice, simple architectural model. So that is kind of handy to get it set up like that. Cool. All right, so looking good. Now, we've got everything set up. We've used our Medeek BIM suite to knock this whole thing out. Everything's, you know, smooth sailing so far. Now we got to create our drawings. Like, that's like one of the biggest issues I've found with like a lot of plugins. They do these amazing things, but then, well, I need drawings, you know? So that's where I step in and close the loop on a tool set like Medeek's, you know, where it does these amazing things, but then perhaps, you know, Nathaniel Wilkerson's not terribly psyched about, you know, automating drawing connection and all that over into LayOut. I am. That's like my whole career is based on how do I get SketchUp to talk to LayOut in a faster, better way. And so that's where these drawing sets have come in, where we're able to like tailor the ConDoc tools to fit specific workflows, like flex tools, or, you know, if you're using John Brock's estimator tool, which creates these ridiculous, unpredictable layers, we got a solution that you can still work with all that stuff, because he has a framing tool and all this and that. So any of these tools, you can pre-program the ConDoc tools to respond to those tags and ultimately automate drawings for architects, interior designers, woodworkers, landscape architects. The possibilities are truly endless. But today, we're going to automate our drawings based on this Medeek model. We're going to set up plans, sections, and elevations, kick them over into LayOut, and then I'll show you some tricks, how to make your drawings look nice over there. Let's get to it. All right, so now that we have everything built, we can go to our ConDoc Tools toolbar. And I'll clean up my screen. We can leave these toolbars open. Well, we'll just get rid of these guys. We can just close them out just so we clean up our screen just a bit. And now we're working with our ConDoc Tools toolbar. To create plans, I click on the plan generator. You can see that all of these plan drawings are named MDK, foundation plan, a plan detail, construction plan, and roof plan. All right, so basically what this does is it's going to create the scenes needed to create these plans. It's also going to like create several scenes per drawing, because then we're going to automatically stack all these in LayOut to get a wide array of line weights, hatches, dashes, everything we need. Watch what happens when I click create scenes. And you know, I don't need these placemaker scenes anymore, so we'll keep our model nice and clean. I'll click create plans, watch what happens. Bam. So foundation plan light has all of our anchor bolts. Heavy is showing all of the slab, and dashed is not showing up. Now this is one of those little gotchas, okay? Just to be aware, I built this drawing set based on a stem wall foundation. And on the stem wall foundation, the foundation concrete tag was better turned off. For a slab on grade, it's better turned on. So I'm just going to update that scene. And this is what's cool. You know, it's kind of like what I really appreciate about the Medeek tools is that it's a modeling tool, and then I can carry on editing the geometry and the assemblies that are created. I can carry on editing those without it like regenning and killing my edits. You know, And so that's kind of the idea behind ConDoc as well, is that we've automated these scenes and you can update the properties to save, just don't change the name. If you want to change the name, you do that in the configurator before you run it. But really, it's all set up, all works, so just know that you can update these scenes and any of the properties to save, you can mess with all that, and you're not going to hurt anything as long as you don't change the name. So now we've got like a plan detail, all right? So this will be the fine line weight, which is going to sit on top, a thinned out line weight for your doors and windows. And then you've got a medium line weight, and that's going to have your framing and your sheathing. Construction plan light, again, it's going to have, now we're going to use the symbols. So like on the plan detail, we didn't call out the symbols. Now you're getting your 3050, double hung, you've got your garage door, and then we got like heavy hatch A and hatch B. And you know what? I'm actually getting ahead of myself. We got to tag this thing, you know? So this is, this is like, not a problem, but like I'm just getting ahead of myself. I forgot we haven't like applied our ConDoc tags. So that's really like the next kind of big important thing that we're doing here. So all of this stuff is level 1 and new. So like that's how we can assign multiple SketchUp tags to one entity. Let me reset here. Oh, and like that. Yeah, perfect. All right, so so everything here is level 1 new. And check it out. Multiple tags assigned to one entity. So level 1 controls the visibility, and condition new controls the visibility. And then this is going to be an exterior roof. And so now element roof controls the visibility of our roof assembly, and exterior controls it. All right, so like I said before, if I go and like isolate all of my element tags, turn them off, that makes it really easy for me to say like, all right, all this stuff here is going to be walls exterior. This is going to be foundation exterior. Bam, everything is tagged up. I mean, do you see how much easier that is than that nested groups within groups within groups? Tag it, tag it, tag it, tag it. I mean, I wrote 2 books about that strategy and then finally came up with this. Multiple SketchUp tags assigned to one entity is an absolute game changer when it comes to like, I mean, you saw how fast I did that. I mean, not to mention that like, you know, applying our tags is happening in that panel versus like a drop down. You select, drop. So anyways, ConDoc 5, that's when we released this new tagging system, which was like groundbreaking. I mean, this is such a leap forward in simplifying my system and also speeding things up. All right, let's keep going. Camera 2. So we're good here. Now, I did create these scenes before I tagged my model. So we have a scene update and save. All you gotta do is hit scene update and save, and now all these scenes are gonna be in good shape. Okay, so we could go back and say like foundation plan light, heavy, dashed. That's gonna be a slick little drawing. Plan detail, medium, and then construction plan light, heavy, and then hatch A doesn't have anything on it. Hatch B does. And then you've got like a roof plan. We're gonna have dashed lines, so our exterior wall show. And then heavy is going to be the actual roof assembly that you see. And then light is gonna be the whole site, all right? And so this stuff here, that I don't want. So I'm gonna soften those lines. Yeah, so there you go. There's, when we look at this scene, we would want to see this, because this is gonna be like our site plan. All right, and like, you know, like I said, you could like, you know, zoom extend some of this stuff, you know, kind of like zoom out like that, and you can update, you know, like update this scene so that it's gonna show a little clearer, you know, the camera location. But the other ones are in pretty good shape. So I'll click reset twice, and that gets me like a zoom extents. And now what we can do is set up some elevations. So I'll activate the elevation tool, click on the side of this garage, and we're going to do a CAD elevation with shadows. All right, now on this one, this is another little mistake that I found, unfortunately, but fortunately for a teaching moment here, it's all good. I can show you how this CAD elevation is counting with letters rather than numbers. So I'm going to trash those scenes, and then I'm going to hit reset and get back into our configurator. All right, so in the configurator, if I hold shift and scroll, I can get to my CAD elevation. Let's see, where is that? CAD elevation, this one here, CAD elevation shadows. I want it to count with numbers, not letters, like that. And then I'll close the configurator. And now when I hit my elevation, CAD elevation shadows, it's going to go CAD elevation 01 and then our shadows like that. Now, both of these scenes are going to end up stacked in layout to make one complete drawing. We'll see that in just a moment. You can always hit reset to kind of get back, and then we can just add our CAD elevation shadows here and our CAD elevation shadows here, and then one more right here, like that. All right, and now we're going to need some sections. So perhaps I would throw a section cut like all the way through the middle of this thing. For that one, we're just going to use a simple CAD section. We also have like a detail background, which is cool. Maybe we'll get into that, but like section perspectives. But really this CAD section is like standard issue section. And then I'm going to want one that goes like right through the middle of that window, like that. Now these guys count as AA and BB. And elevations count as 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hit reset, and we're good to go. Perfect. Okay, so now we've got all of our plans, sections, and elevations set up. So we use our ConDoc drawing export. We're going to kick all these guys out. The default scale is 1/4 inch. That's going to work for our foundation and construction plan. The plan detail, let's set that to be like just a bigger drawing, like 3/4 inch equals a foot. Because I'll want to see, when I set that up, I'm going to want to see the framing and the sheathing. So there's more detail to it, so we want it to be bigger. Our construction plan will be 1/4. This roof plan will be 1/8. And then our elevations can stay at the default scale of 1/4 inch, and perhaps these sections can be 1/2 inch like that. All right, send to layout. It requires us to save, and then there is this pop-up, just a heads up that you don't want your ConDoc drawings scrapbook to be active when you're running this export. All right, that export is actually, this is like a super lightweight model. That's all it took to get this over into layout. So now in layout, I'll start a new document using my templates. We have, when you install the ConDoc Tools extension, you get all of our standard and metric templates. I'm going to go with a 24 by 36, and now we're going to go with, head over into our ConDoc Drawings scrapbook. So whenever you run that ConDoc Drawings export, all your drawings land in this scrapbook, and I can then drag and drop over here like that. Cool? And then we'll go to the next page. Now this plan detail, you're not seeing the plan detail because it's a bigger drawing. So like, it can be a little confusing, but they always land in here. So all you got to do is drag this guy onto your page and then expand the viewport, and there it is. So I'm just going to crop this down so that we're seeing like kind of a, maybe you do something like this for typical door and window, right? And we need to fix our door. We'll do some other adjustments to show how this updating works, all right? So we'll kind of go to the next, and I can just drag and drop our construction plan like that, and then we can get like our roof plan like this. I'm going to rotate it, stretch it like that, and perhaps like that. And whenever you see these little exclamation points, you can just right-click and choose Render Models on Page. So check it out. I mean, this foundation plan, just to understand like what it is, I can ungroup it and, and then you can like scoot these viewports around. So you've got like several viewports that compose this one drawing. And each one of these viewports has different, like line weights and render settings, whether it's raster, vector, hybrid, it has different line weights. All those settings are all baked into the configurator. So if I look at like that foundation plan, what does it take to create that foundation plan? Well, it takes these 3 viewports. These are the settings that created those scenes. And you can see that, you can name them whatever you want. I like to name them typically by line weight or line style. And then these are the styles. This is the actual line weights. These are the layout rendering settings, whether the shadows are on or off, whether you're using a section plane, what is the section plane height, and which tags are turned on and off. So I've already sorted all that out for you. Of course, you can, modify that, but that's the idea, is that we're stacking the viewports. I've already sorted all this out, automated it, stacks all those viewports so you get these nice drawings with like hatches and line weights and all that. When you see this hatching here, it doesn't look that good, right? So under document setup, rendering, that's because our viewports are rendering at low. That's like a performance thing. You could render them at high, but on export, they all get cleaned up. But I'll render it at medium now because, this machine moves really quick. We're all good. Cool, that looks pretty good as far as like our first page. I'm gonna add a sheet, advanced here, and now we have our CAD elevation shadows, and we'll scoot over like this. There's 1, 2, and then 3, and we'll go with 4, like that. I'll take all these guys, kind of scoot them into the middle of the page, and then again, if I render the models on page, you'll see those dot screens clean up, and they would get, the best way to look at these is at like 100%, and this is like when they render at the highest quality. When you render at the highest quality, it's going to really clean them up. That's on export. So just disregard the fact that those don't look perfect right now. All right, we can add another page and then we can start working with our sections like AA and then stretch it out and perhaps BB like that and stretch it out. Cool. And on this page, I might even do something like, you can create additional details like this is kind of a cool feature, trick, whatever you want to call it. All right, I'm going to hop back in here. Let's say that I want to cut a section through, I want to like cut a section through a window, okay? And I'm pretty much going to do the same, a very similar cut like that, all right? And we're going to do a CAD detail background. And then I'm going to export this CAD detail background as like 1.5 inches equals a foot. All right, so it's going to be a really big drawing. I'll say, okay, got it. So a rather quick export for that. And then hop back into layout. And this is where you want to make sure that you don't have the ConDoc drawings scrapbook active. That worked out for me. I'm just going to drag that in, and then we're going to like take this drawing and make it really big. So I got to find that drawing. And you know what? This is a common gotcha. It gets me. Before I drag that in, I need to update my model reference because those scenes I just created don't actually exist. All right, so just update, and then we'll close this, and now those scenes exist, and so now that works out. All right, so like this being a CAD detail background, we can do something like this. And so this is just kind of like a very, simple, straightforward drawing. Maybe we would just go like that. All right, and I'll say that those line weights are just a little heavy. So just heads up, once all of this gets over into layout, we can go over here and we can thin these line weights out. So maybe for this background, it should just be kind of lightweight. Now check this out. You can right click and ungroup, and then you can explode this drawing. And now this is a scaled drawing inside of LayOut. And that means that you have full control over all the line weights, all the hatching. I mean, this is like a very, very quick way to jumpstart drafting a detail. I personally don't like drawing details like this. And it's probably because I'm more hung up on design than I am about building science. So like I struggle to know exactly what to draw and how to put this thing together. The Medeek Tools is killer for just whipping out some, you know, super accurate 2D details. I mean, this is like really a nice setup here. All right, so you could do something like that and we're in good shape. Cool. All right, so I'm going to scoot back to the beginning here and let's take a quick moment to address the fact that, man, we've got a lot of work done here. I mean, between the just setting up a project and modeling it, we're only an hour and 16 in. So I don't have a whole lot more to show you. I'm going to go through, we're going to take a look at the ConDoc annotation scrapbook. This is another scrapbook that gets installed with our RBZ. And what that includes is a palette with all your dimensions and line weights for when you're drafting and layout. We also have all the symbols and schedules, everything that you need to just whip this set of drawings into shape. This is everything that I use on my projects. You know, as I get another project permitted, I'm like, oh, you know, that would be a nice symbol to, you know, that's new, I had to build that. I put it in there and then we ship it with ConDoc. So literally, ConDoc annotation scrapbook is like everything that you would really need to just, you know, annotate your set of drawings. Let me show you. All right, so we'll go over to our scrapbooks and hit our ConDoc annotation scrapbook. In here, on this first page, like this would be, you know, a common question is about dimensioning, all right? Well, let's do this. Let's fix our elevations first. So let's say that like, let me get this out of the way. And let's say that like, you know, I want to get these elevations lined up on the page. All right, so when I activate my line tool, well, I start drawing a line. It's like, well, you know, maybe I'm drawing a guide. Perhaps I want to like use like a dotted red line. I can use the scrapbook as a palette. All right, so now, like, if I want to get these drawings to line up, you know, I can just like draw a guide there, and perhaps I want to go like from midpoint over here like that. And also, I'm going to draw a line, like a nice thick, you know, base plane like this, all right? And then perhaps I'll make a copy of it down here. So now what I need to do is like get this guy, so take this drawing, move the precise move grip, and also I always right click and turn off grid snap. I hate grid snap. And I'm going to scoot this straight down. All right, to constrain the axis, I can hold shift. All right, so now these guys sit on the same base plane. This guy over here, perhaps I could like, you know, take the precise move grip and move it, you know, using that left little circle or grip. Hover on the drawing, and now, let me undo that. Snap there, hold shift, and now I can move it straight down and snap. Next, I'll put it like on that little roof there, and then snap over to there. Now on this guy, that one's all set up on the base plane, and then I can move it, hold shift, snap to that little guide I created, and we can get rid of those. And then, you know, maybe I'll just like shift nudge. Shift nudge goes at like 1/4 of an inch. Let me stretch these out too, just to cover up those lines. And then I would use like the slice tool, and you know, maybe I would like break between them, hover, and then bam, and hover to get my inference, bam, use my eraser tool to get rid of those. And then, you know, these viewports, I can just snap them to that, that line like that. So that's how you can kind of like, you know, clean these drawings up, but you know, we're still seeing what's below. So now I could like stretch the viewport up and, you know, crop each one of these so that you're not seeing that foundation below. You know, another strategy too is you could draw like a line with, you know, perhaps you go with like, these dashes. And, maybe you do something like this, and draw like a dashed line. And then, you take the viewport and, you do something like that. So, it's kind of slick to be able to draw, to trace over the model and then crop it. Some things are just better represented in layout. And that's okay. Like, you get to a point where it's like it doesn't all have to be completely perfectly attached to the SketchUp model. I like to keep it as attached as I can, but you get to a point where the design is done and you just got to get your drawing. You're just making diagrams. You just got to move forward with that. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'll show you another technique for that. All right, I'm going to save this to my desktop temp, and we'll call this Denver Garage. Like that, not an SKP though. And all right, so check this out. If I go over here into like my elevation 01 and I go to my tags, and perhaps I turn on always, was it always off? No, it was background. All right, so that's my bulk plane, and the bulk plane needs to be called out in my elevations. So I'm going to select all these primary elevation scenes, and I want to update all of their visible tags like this. All right, so now the background tag will be turned on in all of these scenes. So I'll update that. I'll click Scene Save and Update, and primary, yeah. And now when we go over here and go to our document setup and update this, now we're going to see all of our bulk planes show through. All right, so now at this point, this is where you might say, like, and this is just temporary, I don't want these to show up all the time. I'm going to activate my line tool, and I'm going to choose like, let's just go with this like red line for now. It's so easy to, change these around. So we'll just do something like this and like that, and then, head over to the end like that. All right, and then over here, I'm going to use my line tool and go straight down and then straight across like that. So I'm just getting these lines in layout perfect, right? Like, this way I don't have to like, you can draft in layout, but this way I don't have to. So we're going to go like this and like this, all right? And so now what I would do is hop back into SketchUp, and I would turn off my background tag, go to my primary viewports, and this is a quick way to update your one of your properties to save. Instead of hitting update and unchecking all this stuff, I can have these selected and I can uncheck visible tags and then recheck visible tags. And essentially that snapshots whatever settings are on there. Scene Save and Update, hop back into Layout, File, Document Setup, Update. Oops, I don't want to edit. We want to actually File, Document Setup, and we're going to just update this. Yeah. And let's see, that's going to probably ask me. I'm going to say no. I don't want to open that up. It's already open, so we're not going to open it again. All right, so now all those are gone. So at this point, I can grab all these. I can go to my shape style, and maybe I believe it's the end arrow should look like that, and maybe make it like an 8. Maybe this should be an 8. Maybe it should be, instead of dots, it should be dashes, and they should be like that, and maybe a 0.25. So, you can like, dial up the style of your drawings and, get these represented in there, and maybe the stroke should be black, that's fine. Whatever makes sense, All of this is very, very flexible. I'm going to pull myself off the screen so I'm not blocking that. All right, so that's how you set up like some really, accurate diagrams in layout. You might even consider making each one of these a group and then setting it to a scale like 1/4 inch to match the viewport. So now if you needed to, like make this into a group, and a group can have a scale assigned to it. So now you could like double click in, and if you needed to move it or draft in there, you can do that. All right. Let's see. So that's cool. So that's kind of using the palette. let's go over here to and add some dimensions here. All right, the dimension tool is, the dimension tool has like a lot of settings. It has settings in the shape style, it has settings in the dimension style, and it has settings in the text style inspectors. So each one of those inspectors is influencing the visual that you're going to get from your dimension tool. Well, you can bake all of those settings into your palette. So like when I'm drawing a dimension here, to the midpoint, see how it's like 12'6" and it has those, kind of thinned out arrows? I don't like that style. I like the style here. All I have to do is come over here and click. And look at, now I'm like Arial bold, I'm using the tick marks, and then I can just double click here, and then I can run another overall dimension like that. All right, here's how it comes into play again. So now I'm going to dimension to midpoint here. Well, I don't like when the dimensions are on the inside. I like them on the outside. So I need to just come over here to 1/4 inch and pick this other one. And like that. And then I can just double click and double click, and then run one overall. I mean, this is a very straightforward project when it comes to dimensioning. I mean, that's, kind of it, really. I mean, maybe knock out these doors, but I think you get the point. Perhaps this would be a good time to talk about updating our design. Let me finish my thought here. So on the next page of our ConDoc annotation scrapbook, you can throw in your drawing titles and you can make a copy and type 2x like that. And so now you've got all your drawing titles. We've baked in all of those new auto text settings. Let me get off the screen here. We've baked in all those auto text settings so that we're counting out your drawings. You can throw in like your area calcs or your wall type key. Perhaps you want like a north arrow, graphic scale. All this stuff is available. Just drag and drop, like calling out your perspectives. Maybe you want to enter elevations in there. If you want to tag your doors and windows, everything you need. All right. Now over here, we'll go with like, here's drawing title 1, make a copy like that, and take both of these guys, make a copy. 1, 2, 3, 4. As far as elevations go, I thought I had, let me see what's on the next page. Yeah, so like, even like something like this, it's kind of like, insignificant, but kind of nice just to throw like, these little symbols on your glass, like that. And so, you could be more precise, and I would be just because I'm like that. But, you get your little glass hash marks for your elevations, and then you get over to your sections, and, you could throw like, our friend, let's do this guy here, hanging in the garage. I right click, and remember, these are at 1/2 inch equals a foot. And so now, you put him in there. Certainly everything is completely configurable. So shape, style, fill, maybe I want it to be a little bit lighter. Maybe I want to have a stroke on there, have like 0.25. Maybe I want it to be dotted at 0.1. There's all kinds, let's see, maybe like a 0.5 would be better, and 0.25 would be good there. So like completely configurable, right? So all of this stuff, it's just a jump start. And all right, so we'll just kind of wrap this thing up with our drawing titles 2 and 3 like that. And let's talk a little bit about what all this means. So everything that ConDoc is automating, it's the default or the core features of SketchUp and LayOut. We're not inventing a unique connection between SketchUp and LayOut. So when it comes time to make revisions, like for instance, let's add some gutters, let's raise the roof up, let's check the bulk plane. I think we have room to go up. Let's raise our walls up, raise the roof up, and then let's fix our door. So we're going to use the exact same workflow and connectivity between SketchUp and LayOut. This isn't unique. So all of this, like once you get all this in place, in terms of like running your ConDoc plan section elevation perspectives, all that stuff. And then you run the ConDoc export into LayOut. And then you place those drawings. That's it. You know, this, now you just set up the connection between SketchUp and LayOut. So we're going to hop into SketchUp, we're going to make those changes, and then hop into LayOut and see them update. But I'm going to show you another trick here. This is a good one. This is really important. I'm going to close our SketchUp model, and we're going to open it from LayOut. Watch this. So here's our SketchUp model. I'm going to save it and close it. And now, inside of LayOut, I'm going to go to File, Document Setup. And here's my garage, all right? So I can just hit Update just to make sure that we're good to go. And what I'm going to do is open my SketchUp model from LayOut by hitting this Edit button. What this does is it creates like a live sync between SketchUp and LayOut. So I don't have to keep going to my File, Document Setup, References, select the reference, Update. We're going to see these changes happen automatically. All right, so like for instance on our on our Medeek wall tools, we can edit this opening. And you can see that like the door is not swinging the right way. And so we call that a right hand in update. There you go, like that. All right, now the roof, I can close this. Let's go to our ConDoc system, which is, you know, what really like automates all these different layers and all that. And what I was getting at is that like we've got room to go up. So this roof really, you know, I could move that up by like say 12 inches, like that. All right, and now if I hit reset, you know, I want to edit this wall assembly. And this wall assembly should be like 109.125 and update that. All right, and now we'll close this and we're going to use this like wall sample tool to sample the height like that. And then we can go around and just say yup, yup, and see how this one's yup, like that. We'll close that. Also, I want to right click and edit our truss assembly. And when I go down here to our gutters, let's turn on those, yes, update, like that. So we get gutters. And then now we have gutter options. We have downspouts, yes, update, like that. And that looks pretty good, right? So, you know, and you could even consider like edit the opening, you know, maybe these garage door heights, maybe it should be 96, like that. I don't know. Let's try it. We'll just do it. So you can make those decisions now, and we'll call this 96 update, like that, since we got like plenty of room to go up. And then, you know, like I was kind of saying earlier, like this way all my man doors and windows line up, and I think that is okay that that's higher, but it makes me a little crazy. That's okay. All right, so now here's where the magic of the live sync comes in. You know, when I open my SketchUp model from LayOut, I'm going to save this, bam, and then I'm just going to hop back into LayOut, and there it goes. You see that? It just jumped up. So now we've got our updated model. And now watch, I'll go to the next page. And we'll probably see it. You got to look for it. It already rendered. So there, it's all updated. It's all fixed, you know? And then on my plans, that's probably not like, yeah, here we go. There's our door swing. So I can tell you that like using that live sync scenario drastically saves a ton of time, because every time I found that every time I go to File, Document Setup, References, and click that, especially when your references get a little heavy, it just thinks, chokes, has to think about that for a moment. So, so I find that this live sync is one of my performance tips. That's going to be in, I believe that'll be the next live stream and series of videos, is how to speed up SketchUp and LayOut. Basically, how to speed up SketchUp for LayOut and how to speed up LayOut. Whenever this happens, there's an easy fix. Select all, right click, reconnect to model, like that. 9 out of 10 times, that fixes all of those dimensions that have been broken. Don't bother going through and right-clicking on each one. Just select all and reconnect to model. There it is. So, I mean, that's a pretty decent set of drawings. I can go open from our live stream folder. I included a link to this set of drawings. This is the final set that I turned in, and I just kind of, scrubbed the location information out of there. But this is the, all the different site plan and everything I had to call out, which was quite a bit. With Denver, they wanted quite a bit of information for this one little garage, but all the zoning and square footage calculations are pretty handy. Here's a detail, all the elevations. I mean, it's a pretty simple set of drawings. This is how we did our selections. I mean, I wasn't paid a ton of money to do this one, so, you just kind of like hack in the selections, and the owner was totally cool with that because he was going to sort it all out on his own, or sort it out with the builder essentially, and those were the selections. But anyways, that's all these links are available in the description. So yeah, definitely check out, in the description we have links to the SketchUp model, the layout files, links to our ConDoc Tools website where you can start a 7-day free trial, take it for a spin, and we have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Not trying to sell anything to anyone that's not of value. I promise, this thing works. I mean, this is going to speed up SketchUp. Get all of your, if you have other colleagues, you can all get on the same page with the same drawing sets. You get your same standards shared across the board. Medeek Engineering, Medeek Tools, Medeek BIM Suite. Check it out at medeek.com. In the description, again, there's a link for that. We have a 10% off coupon code. Just type in ConDoc. You got to create an account first, and then you can purchase, and you'll find that place to put in that coupon code. And certainly Placemaker, PDF Importer, all these extensions, I support them because they make my life so much easier, and I'm not trying to solve all these problems. It's kind of cool how we can each have our specialty, and then we can all work together. And so that's what this channel is all about. Please like and subscribe. I sincerely appreciate you watching today. Like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you soon.